Hey there, it's meteorologist Jamie Singleton. We're watching an active, very active night ahead for us. Numerous warnings are already in effect. We have two main areas of storms, so we'll get right to them right now. We do have a tornado warning out for West Virginia. Uh, this is a cell that has moved over the same area that was hit earlier by a possible tornado. Um, that's in effect for Athens, Pipestem, Camp Creek, Elliston, Camp Creek State Park, Flat Top, and Spanisburg. That tornado warning expires at 9 o'clock. You can kind of see a little bit of a notch already there. So this is getting into West Virginia there. As you're nearing the Hinton area, watch out there for the possibility of a tornado. And we had a report earlier of a tornado right along this front as it moved across the Allegheny Highlands. So the mountains do not protect you from tornadoes when it's this active out there. So I want to keep a very close eye on that. We also have flash flood warnings in effect until the early morning hours, and these may be extended all the way through Damascus, extreme southwestern Virginia, in the Richlands, Tazewell, Bluefield. They're getting repeated trains of heavy rain. This is tropical-like moisture. It's kind of linking up with Helene, believe it or not. A little bit of an indirect push there, but we are going to see these two connect, and you can see all the flash flood warnings in effect for the North Carolina mountains. This is a disaster in the making, unfortunately, for the Western Virginia and North Carolina areas, possibly even into the Roanoke Valley and South Side. We do have rain falling on saturated ground. These are some hellacious storms. They're pushing out of Stewart and Martinsville and Gretna, heading in the Rocky Mount. We've got a lot of thunder and lightning outside right now. I'll put it on camera 5 here, and I can show you what I've got at the Weather Center here. And I'm at 71. I've got lightning about 10 miles away, so I'm near between Rocky Mount and Burnt Chimney, so that's getting closer. Winds out of the northeast at just about 1.4 miles an hour. Dew point's at 71. So that's a pretty high dew point. So we'll keep an eye on that lightning there as we go through the next couple of hours here. I'll put you on camera 7. I want to show you the rotation as it's been in motion here across West Virginia. And you can follow that through Tazewell County and going into Bluefield as well. I'll put the latest image up here so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. This is where my technology is picking up on rotation. So what it's doing is it's sensing it, and it's looking at it from a radar perspective, and it's saying, okay, right through here is where the air is turning, it's spinning, at least according to the radar, and that's why we do have that tornado warning in effect. So I'm going to give you a little more particular on that right now. I'm going to go back over, and I'll have this ready for you in just a second. Go back over to our main radar feature here, and we'll take off camera 7 and move you back to Camp Creek, Athens, and Princeton. And going into, I need to get my counties here, Mercer and Summers County. That's in effect until 9 o'clock. I'll just read you the tornado warning. A severe thunderstorm warning, or a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Princeton, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. Athens, Pipestem, as I mentioned, Elliston, West Virginia, Camp Creek State Park, and Spanisburg. You need to take shelter in a basement. If you don't have a basement, get into an interior room and put a mattress or a football helmet or both on if you're in that West Virginia area. It looks like it's just north of Princeton right now. So we're using the Blacksburg radar, and you can see that near Camp Creek in Athens. That's where the cell is, the possible tornado. The red's going away from the radar. The green's showing us where the wind's going toward the radar. That's the main cell, and this continues to move up to the north-northeast at about 25 miles per hour. So it won't take it long before it crosses into the next county here. So we're going to be watching that very carefully, Mercer and Summers County in West Virginia. Other storms still need to be watched, because if you look at this velocity and you move this on back, you can see another couplet here. Now, there's no warning out for this yet, but when you watch the stream, this is what you get. You get the enhanced analysis here. So there's another little couplet trying to develop here near Bluefield. Whether or not this spawns another tornado warning will be the big question mark here into the next few minutes. But even if it doesn't, there's going to be strong wind with that cell, probably some damaging straight line winds, and definitely some flash flood warnings that continue in this area. Another little notch there in Bland County, that's looking more like convergence. But if we move down across the Allegheny Highlands here and south, drop into the Southwest Mountain Empire, we've got a special weather statement for Troutdale and Sugar Grove. That's southern Smith County, just exiting Grayson County. I do see rotation here. So this may be another tornado warning that you want to watch for in Smith County, Southwest Virginia there near Rural Retreat, moving west toward Atkins area. You probably want to be taking shelter and a basement and a safe room as this continues to move up to the north. Every one of these thunderstorms that are moving through the area has the potential to create its own rotation. And as I say that, we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for Roanoke, Franklin counties. That also includes Bedford, southern part of Botetourt County, including Fincastle, also into Patrick County, and just exiting Henry County. This is a strong storm with a lot of lightning and some damaging winds. This is in effect until 9:45. This was just issued here about 1 minute ago. This is moving to the north at 60 miles per hour. I'm sorry, 40 miles per hour. The hazard would be 60-mile-an-hour winds. So we've got that for Roanoke, Blacksburg, Salem, Christiansburg, Vinton, Rocky Mountain, Troutville. That includes the Roanoke-Blacksburg Airport. You want to stay away from windows in this storm. We're going to take a look at the velocity here and see if I can see any strong wind. And I do see a notch here of about 48-mile-per-hour winds. That's just north of Ferrum. That's going to track just to the west of Rocky Mountain. You can see how big this polygon is. That's usually an indication that the Weather Service is seeing a lot of danger with it in terms of its movement and its track as it goes into the next few minutes here. Looking at the correlation coefficient, sometimes you can pick up debris on this. I'm not seeing any, but I am seeing some higher cloud tops of about 30 to 35,000 feet. And this darker gray here is indicating a lot of downdraft, a lot of gusting out of cooler air. So that usually produces quite a bit of strong straight line winds. This is coming in from the south, and there's a big cluster of lightning right over Rocky Mount. So I'd watch for flash flooding in and around Rocky Mount. Also, the danger is for lightning. It looks like just south of Pinhook, you've got another cluster of lightning here. Sometimes these lightning clusters can indicate places where the storms are trying to spin back up. So watch out for Pinhook and Callens. We'll see if that gets rotating or not. This is in an environment that's very favorable for rotation. Let's zoom it back out here. We've got another storm report coming in out of Watauga County. Rotating funnel cloud and a wall cloud. That's near Blowing Rock and Boone in North Carolina. So places that you're not used to seeing here are seeing tornadic activity. Another video sent in by a spotter shows that wall cloud and a transformer blowing in the distance. So that's almost that's a tornado in Blowing Rock, North Carolina earlier. We don't want to focus too much on the past because these storms are going to continue to kind of just slowly meander through the area. There's nothing really pushing these storms along. This was a front that died out as it moved into this tropical air ahead of Helene, and that's the same weather pattern that's picking up Helene and moving it in our direction, unfortunately, for Thursday night and Friday. And it may rain again tomorrow. So the concern is for flooding and tornadoes. And those are two of the worst things that we can get in this area this time of the year. I want to take you to Viper radar right now and use our exclusive technology and try to pinpoint some of the threats here. And I'm going to show you there in the pink, right along 220. That's where Viper says there could be some hail in this storm as well. One of the things Viper can do is it picks out the hail from the rainfall. I don't see any rotation markers on this yet, but I do see some flash flooding there in the orange and the red going into Campbell County. Viper looks at how much water's in the ground already and what those rainfall rates are, and it also looks at the topography, and it can tell you whether or not it thinks flooding is an issue. Now, if we go back to the cell that I mentioned in the southern Smith County, we did have a high wind marker on that just a second ago, and that's going to be moving just east of Marion and Rural Retreat. and it's going to pretty much focus that heavy rain in that line too. But there it is right there. So let's see what Viper says about this. Atkins in about 18 minutes at, let's see, move it over here. 18 minutes at 8:59. Willard in 33 minutes at 9:14. Beaver at 9:19. And Gross Close Store at 9:20. So that's this cell right here that you see on the edge of your screen. Zoom on in here, and I'll animate that so you can kind of see which one we're talking about. So you folks in western Wythe County and eastern Smith County, you want to watch out for this thing as it continues to move up to the north, and it is producing, it looks like, at least some damaging straight line winds from that. In fact, I can show you here these the high wind potential that we've got going on across the area. While I get that loaded up, let me take you back to the rotation potential, which is increased across West Virginia now. That's concerning. Summers and Mercer County. So it's moving into southeastern Mercer County right now, and it's still in Summers County, but that's a strong area, especially for the mountains. That's a pretty strong area of rotation there in the red. So the radar is looking at how much twisting is going on, and it's pretty much confirming the reason we've got that tornado warning, at least from a observational standpoint. See if we got any more rotation going on, and we do have some elongated rotation with these storms coming out of Franklin County, moving into Patrick County. You can see over the past hour there's been some light rotation, very weak rotation, but nonetheless we do have some rotation, and if it tightens up just a little bit, we could see something really spin up kind of fast, and it would be rain wrapped more than likely. More rotation down here across the North Carolina mountains, where they've got numerous flash flood warnings in effect. And we've got several roads flooded in Greene County, Tennessee. We've also got there, it looks like the Smoky Mountains are getting flooded. Several roads underwater in the Smoky Mountains as well. And there you see that big severe thunderstorm warning in effect there for Franklin County there in the yellow. Wanted to show you this. This is the wind coming in at about 5,000 feet, and you say, well, Jamie, what do I care about that? Well, the brighter colors here, this is where we are seeing higher wind at that level. So we're seeing winds quite a bit higher right up against the mountains, and they're coming in out of the southeast. So what that does is it hits the mountains. You see the topography up under here. It hits those mountains and it wrings out the moisture. So that's developing the rain. It's developing the storms. It's unstable outside. And as a result, you get those storms popping up. Now we've got an area of low pressure that's enhancing this. So there's a mini low. There you see it coming out of Anderson, South Carolina, coming out of the upstate. And ahead of these lows, I've studied these for years. When they come out of the mountains like that, they will produce enhanced spin. They will enhance the rainfall quite a bit, and they last for about 3 to 5 hours in the worst case scenario. These are slow moving lows. They're moving kind of fast, the individual cells, but the overall flow is not moving much at all. And so our winds are out of the south, the southeast, and if you go up just a little bit farther in the atmosphere, our winds are out of the southwest. And so that is a crosswind in terms of direction. In fact, I'll take you up to 18,000 feet now, and we'll see if we can't load that. There you see our winds out of the southwest at 18,000 feet. Now at about 30,000 feet, we're probably going to find something similar here. It crosses a little bit more. You can see it continues to veer. So if we take that down to just a couple thousand feet up, you see our winds are out of the southeast. And we go up to 18,000 feet, and they're out of the southwest. And that's simply put, that's directional wind shear. And we're going to add to that now instability. So let's see where our instability is. These shaded areas are where we have positive buoyancy, and where we're seeing thunderstorm fuel there leading to these updrafts that will continue to grow once they are acted upon. So that's what you're seeing there in that yellow, some of the stronger storms there feeding on that thunderstorm fuel that we've got across the area. This will continue to be a volatile weather situation into tonight. I don't really see it letting up. In fact, I think it may get a little stronger as we head into the next hour or two at least. Looking at the Marion area one more time, you can see that velocity couplet. It moved out of North Carolina, moves across western Grayson County there near White Top. There's not a lot of people out there, but it's still holding its own. It's a very small cell, but it is holding its own as it continues to make its way through the Southwest Mountain Empire. So you need to keep an eye on that thing because that could drop a tornado at any time now. I'm going back to Viper real quick. We're going to take a look at the severe threats, at least according to the Viper technology that we've got. And let's move you back over. There we go. So anywhere that you're seeing the purple on the screen, that's where Viper's indicating a lot of heavy rain and some hail potential there as well. Maybe even some higher winds. I'm looking at the amount of liquid in the air. I think this is probably just a lot of rain. Sometimes Viper will get confused and think it's hail, but it is raining at 2 to 5 inches an hour. That's some incredible rainfall rates, probably some ponding of water on the roads for sure, and near zero visibility. And you can see that across Stewart, going into Patrick County here, and then the northwest Henry County. It's still raining to beat the band, so there's probably some high water already going on here. If we move across Smith County, there you see that one cell there popping out in pink, and then another one popping out there in bland. This is a way to kind of filter out the rain and just kind of see what the Viper is seeing. Now, if I overlay the flood risk, you'll see these little yellow areas develop here, and you can see where it's really enhanced. This is across northwest North Carolina. Let's overlay some warnings here too. And it's lit up like a Christmas tree, unfortunately. That's never a good thing. All right, look at the flash flood risk across Asheville already. This is the Black Mountain area. If you're moving down I-40, this is where I went to college. And you can see the flood advisories in effect there in the green. And then the flash flood potential very high across Spruce Pine down to Black Mountain crossing I-40. And then it's continuing to build north. So this flash flood potential will more than likely continue to advance north. I don't know if Viper does a forecast. It does. And you can see that north of Spruce Pine, it's starting to fill back in over the next couple of hours. So that's something to keep an eye on too. Also around Bluefield, just south of Bluefield, we're seeing more flash flooding potential there. And we had a new tornado warning. We just mentioned this in effect for Smith County, Wythe County, and Bland County. So let's go right to the Viper here and see if we got any rotation going on as far as what Viper sees, and it doesn't see it right now, but let's go back to the radar picture and look at that. So get your bearings here. This is Wytheville, this is Marion, and this is the cell that's prompted the tornado warning just north of Sugar Grove. We mentioned to you that you would get it first here, and we did tell you about that not too long ago. You can see that couplet that's tightened up, and that's where we had a special weather statement out for this thing. And now we've got a tornado warning. So it's near Atkins. It's going to cross right over the county line between Smith County and Wythe County, and then it's going to move over the same area here that already had the storms earlier going through the Tazewell Bland County area. So not only a tornado, but we're also worried about the flooding potential there as well. Debris. Do I have any debris? Ooh, I do. This could be this could be the real deal. This is a little bit of a debris signature there near Atkins and Smith County. And this is moving up to the north at about 25 miles per hour. Sugar Grove, you're okay. But I'm very concerned about that area that I just highlighted there because usually when you see all cranberry colors, when everything's this color, you're good. That's all rain. But when you see it drop off a little bit, that's debris. That's either leaves or parts of homes or roofs or whatever, what have you there, coming in from eastern Smith County. And you actually have a little bit of a donut shape. See the little letter C? That's also a sign that we've got a lot of twisting going on. So Atkins, right on your doorstep, this tornado that looks pretty potent to me. I'll be honest with you. This is pretty far away from the radar, and to see a signature like this suggests to me that this could be the real thing. I look at the wind, how it's changing within each radar pixel, and when you see gray, you're pretty much good, but when you get into the blues and the oranges, that's where the wind is certainly changing a lot in velocity and within those pixels. So what you do is you correlate that with where the rotation is, and it lines up perfectly. And so, this other noise, we kind of ignore that, but when you see it line up like that, that's giving me more confidence that we've got something that could be very well on the ground in eastern Smith County and parts of Wythe County. Now, Rural Retreat, you are also in this tornado warning, and I'll read you that tornado warning. It's in effect until 9:30, so another 36 minutes or so. At 8:51, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Atkins or over Mount Rogers National Recreation Area, moving north at 30. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter, and I do see debris on the radar. Rural Retreat, Ceres, Mount Rogers Recreation Area, Burke's Garden, Nebo, Marion, Wytheville, and Atkins under the gun for this likely tornado. And I notice I didn't say possible. I think it's pretty likely. Let's go back to our debris, and it's lessened a little bit, but it's almost hard to kind of say for sure what we've got going on. So if we zoom into this area out ahead of the warning, and we look at the towns and everybody affected by this, you do see a lot of mountainous areas in and around this. Now, the atmosphere does not care either way. If the storm is spinning fast enough, it's not really going to worry about those mountains on the surface. It may have a little trouble getting to the ground, but we have seen time and time again when you get a setup like we have in place, and like we'll have tomorrow and into Friday, especially with tropical systems, we usually get our more prolific tornado events ahead of them and along them. So we've got a pretty good population center here, unfortunately, right along the interstate. Now, you venture off the interstate, and it gets way more sporadic. But in this case, I'm very worried about the Atkins area. There you see a little bit more enhancement. I'm zooming in the individual pixels. I know it's a little choppy to see, but one of those things that you want to, that's the rotation, that you want to make sure you're getting across here. So I-81, if anybody's crossing that area, that's looking very dangerous. In fact, let's go to VDOT and see if we can't pull up a camera from that area. I meant to pull that up earlier. So let's see, this is going to move. We may have a camera here. Let's see. This is west of Wytheville. I don't see anything major there on that camera. Do have some heavy rain falling on this camera, and the camera's bouncing around a bit, so it's being knocked around by something, likely the wind. But look at all the truckers here and people traveling that may have no idea that this is a tornado about to cross I-81 or a potential tornado. Now, that's very concerning to me, and it happens a lot around here, but this is in effect right now until 9:30. And you get out away from it just a few miles away, and it's really not that much. So you can definitely see the difference in these cameras as you move backwards on 81 heading back toward the Bristol area. This is just south of Blessing. We've got the camera bouncing around there, and that suggests that we do have some strong wind, at least, in this circulation. And this, that's the one camera that's bouncing around. So we're going to leave that up because this is more of a real-time signature than anything that we've got to look at. Heavy rain continues falling outside the home weather office. I do want to show you some of the parameters, and I know this gets kind of geeky, but I'll leave this up on the side of the screen, so I'll pop it up if we need to. This is the amount of wind shear that we've got over the area. And I mentioned the directional shear. Look at all this wind shear. When you get up to around 50 knots of wind shear, that's incredible amount of wind shear. And you can see over the past day, it's really been high. So we've had this continued threat of tornadoes because of that. Because you've got this big dip in the jet stream off to the west, it's not moving east. And at the surface, you've got winds up underneath it at about 90 degrees to the right, coming in from the southeast. And when you get up into the 35 to 40 knot range, that's where you start to, generally, that's where you see more of the tornado potential here. The amount of storm fuel is high. We've got a lot of moisture in the air, and you don't need it to be super high, but Cape's at around 1,000, 1,500 or so. Here's the violent tornado parameter. You can see it's elevated up to 1. It's not super high, but again, if it's just, it doesn't really matter when you're developing a tornado, just as long as you've got spin and lift, it'll develop. So sometimes these indices can not correlate as far as magnitude, but the fact that you're seeing an indice pop up is the bigger story, if that makes sense. The fact that we're seeing anything under that parameter is the bigger story. The significant tornado parameter only about 0.5, but again, you take that to this wind shear graph, you kind of weigh and balance all the different factors coming in, and these storms are developing. So where we're seeing the wind shear, that's going to play into the evolution of these storms. Here's the crosswind. As I mentioned, at the surface, your winds there in red, aloft they're in blue, and they're coming in much faster. And they're also coming in from the south and from the west. Power flickering here at the station, here at the home office. Very heavy rain, just about to make its way up to Roanoke right now. Coming in out of Patrick County and Stewart. Some torrential downpours here. And some gusty winds, some strong winds, no doubt. And there you see that cell out across Atkins. So we've got a break right now in the NRV from Blacksburg to Christiansburg and to Wythe County and Carroll County. This is a break. But you've got storms that are popping up fast and furious here across North Carolina and the foothills. They'll be moving north throughout the night tonight. And you folks in Bland County and eastern Tazewell, southeast Tazewell County, and northwest Wythe County will want to watch this cell there coming in out of the Atkins area, eastern Smith County. We've got a tornado warning in effect until 9:30. So we've got quite a long stretch ahead of us here. We'll pop up our Viper technology, and I do want to show you, so I'm looking over at that camera just to make sure we're still good there. I do want to show you here, let's see if we can get Firefox open. I see, there we go. All right, so it's a little bit concerning that we're still seeing that tornado warning, and that's right along the stationary front. I'll show you why these stationary fronts can enhance tornado potential. North of the front, you've got winds kind of coming in out of the south and east at the surface. And then if you go a little bit farther up the front, or at least across it, you've got winds kind of coming in like this, more out of the due south. And it's right along that little convergent boundary there that you'll see stuff spin up. So whenever you have a front bisecting the area or any kind of boundary, when you combine that with the lift that you get from these storms, that's when you can see twisting motion. And that's exactly what's going on right now in Rural Retreat. There's the cell. It's moving up to the north. Now, Viper isn't too keen on picking up anything with this particular cell, but I'm going to emphasize that tornadoes around our area don't always have the classic look to them. So we need to watch that very carefully. You folks in Roanoke are about to get hit very hard by this heavier rain. I'm going to turn on the damaging wind product because that's something I wanted to kind of showcase here. I've got a lot of products on the screen, I realize that. So if I turn down the radar, And we're just going to look at where the strongest winds are. This is kind of a neat feature. Just got another tornado warning for Halifax County. That's a small tornado warning, but let's move into this area. And there you see the damaging wind showing up there in the green. So let's look at the latest details on that tornado warning. Tornado warning in effect for Halifax County. And we'll pop it up over here on this computer as well. So we've got tornado warnings bisecting. We're on both sides of the area right now. One for Halifax County and another one in extreme southwest Virginia. So let's zoom into Halifax County because we've got a lot of folks out there that watch us north of South Boston. I'll put the latest image up here. That's until 9:45. We've got some lightning there as well, just to the northwest of Clover. This is going to make its way just east of Brookneal, probably by 10 o'clock or so. The good news is, Clover, this is off to your west, but you folks in Charlotte County will have to watch this by 9:45 because it will be moving farther north with time. I'll put that storm track on for you, and you can see the overall movement. It's a very small cell. Tornadoes, by definition, of course, are small. But whenever you get a little notch like that, and once again, there's your front across Gretna and Brookneal. So your fronts, as I mentioned, they'll increase. It's like a zipper. They'll increase and tighten that wind up. So if there is spin and it's broad, once it crosses the front, it becomes tighter, and that makes it faster. It's similar to an ice skater pulling in their arms when they spin, and they spin faster. It's conservation of angular momentum. Until 9:30 right now, there's the other tornado warning in effect, still going strong here, and eastern Smith County crossing over right now into Wythe County. So 2 tornado warnings. Both of them look pretty serious. I'll take you back across Viper right now and show you the damaging wind product. And again, this is until 9:45, but you can see as I zoom in here, that's 360 there. The damaging wind is showing up really in the strong category here. So when you get into the burgundies and the yellows, we don't have any yellow yet, but we could. That's extreme damaging wind. So we do have a very narrow spot here of damaging wind being shown on Viper. This is 501 off to the left. So this is east of 501, and it's north of 360. So you folks there in the Charlotte Courthouse area in Brookneal need to really watch this. That's along 40. We had some hail a little bit earlier in that area too. Let's pull up the high-res radar and really get into this this other tornado warning. First, we'll look at the one just north of Rural Retreat. Still a bit of a hook echo on it. Still some rotation, but it's not tremendously strong right now. That may have weakened just a little bit, and that's certainly a blessing because that didn't look too good just a second ago. Looking at the debris, I don't see a whole lot of debris with that. Storms continue moving into Roanoke right now. Cave Spring and Starkey, Mudlick area getting hit pretty hard. Also the Boones Mill area being hit hard. And it continues pouring down rain out across Ferrum and western parts of Patrick County. So a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Look at the velocity there. We still have some very gusty winds up about 40 to 50 miles per hour in the parts of Franklin County right now. Southern Bedford, be on the lookout. You've got a big storm moving in from the south. And I watched this cell here near Callens. This looks a little suspect. A little bit, we've got a lot of notches there in the reflectivity. This is a velocity out of Halifax County. And you can see there just to the north and east of Crystal Hill is where we're seeing that. We'll put this in motion, and you can see how it developed almost out of nowhere. Came in the radar range there, and that's when the Weather Service put that tornado warning on it. So it moved across South Boston before it developed. You probably saw a lowering of the clouds if you were out there near some light enough to see that. Looking at some other products here, we do have the spectrum width increasing. That's the amount of wind differential within the radar beam there. And we're looking up at about 7,000 feet here. So we are way far away from that Floyd County radar. So there's a tornado. We're not going to see it. That's just the way it is in some of these spots. We can't get a good handle on what's going on the ground if you're looking at 7,000 feet up. So we have to kind of infer from what we're seeing on the radar picture. And we certainly do have that couplet there near Crystal Hill. So this is a small little cell. We'll put up the text from the National Weather Service here on the screen. You can see them both there. This is in effect for west central Charlotte County and north central Halifax County until 9:45. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Mount Laurel or near Clover, moving north at 10 miles per hour. Mobile homes could be damaged or destroyed. Anytime you have a tornado, you want to abandon a mobile home, get into a ditch if you have to. But a well-constructed home with brick or some kind of cinder block or whatever is much better than being in a mobile home. They will sail through the air, unfortunately. I know a lot of people that live in them, and they're great economical benefit there. But at the same time, in severe weather, you need to have a backup plan, whether it's a neighbor or a community center or somewhere that you can go. And I would say to have that plan in place not only tonight, but tomorrow night, and Friday. And finally, by Friday afternoon and evening, we'll try to calm it down somewhat. But we're still going to see a lot in the way of storm activity, flash flooding potential, and you really just don't want to be stuck there. So you need to move in a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building and stay away from those windows. My goodness, wind can blow out those windows and really get into making it. You don't want to worry about opening those windows because you will waste time. If that tornado is coming, it's coming, whether you got the window open or not. So don't go by that myth anymore. Fortunately, they studied that, and it doesn't really do any difference. The only thing you're doing is wasting time. Get into a bathroom if you don't have a basement, an interior room, or a closet, and because there's more piping usually and plumbing, will hold those walls together a little better. Plus the bathtub there. If you got a shower or bathtub, that tends to add some more structure to at least one of the walls in the bathroom. So you can get in there and put a mattress or pillow over your head, or if you've got a workbench or something like that in an interior room or hallway, close all the doors, get in the hallway, and do like they do in the schools where they kind of sit and they have their hands over their head. Protect your head at all costs. And this have a battery-powered phone or radio or something to know when the warning has passed. But do not go out and look for this thing, because A, you're not going to see it because it's pouring down rain, and B, well, because it's nighttime, by the time you see it, it'll be too late, and you could be a victim of this tornado. That's how fine they are, at least to look at. They're very, it's not going to just gradually get worse. It'll be calm, it'll be calm, it'll be calm, and then all of a sudden it'll go from 0 to 10. And so that's just the way they are. If you look at tornado videos, you will see that. So I am seeing some debris now, looking at the latest radar image. That's a little bit concerning. We've got a higher velocity couplet here too, showing up in red. Spectrum width is in line there. So this one also looks pretty interesting. That's more than likely that's debris. It could be on the ground right now, northern Halifax County, and not far. It's debris being lofted up here. It looks like, because we're at about 7,200 feet coming in through Charlotte County. Got another tornado warning in effect now. This is in effect for Appomattox County. These things are coming out pretty fast now. This is until 9:45 as well. Here's the radar picture, and you can see they're right over Appomattox, moving north at 10 miles per hour. Appomattox, Oakville, and Evergreen. Unfortunately, Evergreen is familiar with tornadoes, and you've got another very strong signature there. Looks like it's not as tight as it could be, but we got to remember, well, there it was. We backed this up some. You can see that it was tight there, going right over Appomattox. Looks like it weakened just a little bit in the past couple of scans here. You back up the debris here and you can kind of see it too. You can follow these cells across multiple counties. And yeah, unfortunately, I think there's probably something going on in Appomattox County too. A little hard to say. I'm going to pull up another radar picture here. I can show you the Raleigh radar. I just want to see if we used another radar, would we see the same thing? So we're going to pull up a Raleigh radar right now. 3 tornado warnings in effect. Wytheville, or Wythe County, Bland County, Tazewell County, Smith County under a tornado warning until 9:30. We've got one for Appomattox County until 9:45, and one for Halifax and Charlotte counties until 9:45. We're dialing up a surrounding radar picture here so we can see what's going on from other radar vantage points. And this is important because it will show us if there's anything that the Blacksburg radar isn't picking up. It's a different angle to look at. It's a different height that we can look at. It's higher up in the atmosphere, so it's not going to be quite as vivid. But I do want to use it to kind of confirm what the Blacksburg radar is seeing. And there, if you look there, you can see rotation picking up here from the Raleigh radar. So this is going toward the radar in Raleigh and away from the radar, pretty strong there. So there's your rotation. If I look at these individual pixels, that's about 63 miles an hour going away from the radar, and going toward the radar is only about 8 or 9 miles per hour. So there's definitely something going on there. If I put a storm track on this, we'll see it a little bit better as far as the overall flow into the storm. Not really moving all that much. Let's put a marker on this one. If we go to our storm relative velocity, this takes out the movement of the storm. So you can see if you subtract the storm movement, it is going toward the radar and away from the radar pretty fast. That's another way we can kind of look at that tornado potential there. So you folks in northern Halifax County, that's west of Sax and going into just east of Nathalie, need to be taking shelter here, right along the river, it looks like. And there is a drop in the correlation coefficient there. A little bit of a bean shape to that. It looks like a bit of a hook. Okay, that's off the Raleigh radar. Do we see anything else interesting? Well, it's not going to pick the Appomattox County storm up too well, but it does show, it still shows some circulation there in Appomattox County. And then if you go back into North Carolina now, this is south of Yadkin County. There are 2 cells that are also, that have some weak rotation, at least according to that Raleigh radar. So I'm going to keep this up. So we'll have that as a backup. And I like using all the radar imagery I possibly can when we don't have anything else to look at. Very heavy rain continues to fill in now through Bedford. I don't see anything spinning now in Bedford County, but there are plenty of individual updrafts that I'm watching. There's a little one right now near Gretna. So you folks in Gretna, take shelter now. This is a potential tornado developing as well. Any one of these little updrafts are spinning, and you can see them in the little notches there. So this one right now is one of the ones that's kind of developing out of nowhere. You see just a couple of scans ago. So we're getting these scans every few minutes. So you folks in Gretna, Lynch Station, Alta Vista, go ahead and take shelter, because I do think you're going to get a tornado warning very shortly. And that's the advantage here to watching the stream. You will get, I'll call these out as I see them, and you won't have to wait for the Weather Service. They'll do a great job of issuing it, but they're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're just seeing it now in real time with the Viper technology and everything else, and the training that I go through so I can use this data to its fullest. The tornado warning out for Wythe County still in effect. I don't see a lot of rotation with that. Very broad rotation. It looks like more of a linear system right now. So the threat going down temporarily for Berks Garden, even though officially you're under the tornado warning until 9:30. Watch out for flooding in the Roanoke Valley. Whenever I see very heavy rain like this, I think of downtown flooding there on Campbell Looks like most of the heaviest rain is out towards Salem and northwest and west side of Roanoke there. Starkey area can flood pretty easily, so watching that area there as well. And then we've got these 2 tornado warnings, Appomattox and Halifax County. The good news is, well, there's a flash flood warning just issued. I don't see as classic as an indicator of rotation with these 2 cells, but bad news is I see 2 more areas, Volans and Gretna, that could be seeing tornadic activity here. So those are 2 other areas. Appomattox just got put under a flash flood warning in effect till 3:30 in the morning. So if you're watching in Appomattox County, oh man, you want to get to higher ground, but if you're in the tornado warning, you want to get to the lowest ground. It can be just the worst combination to have tornadoes and flash flooding, because we're telling people to do 2 different things. I would take the tornado warning more seriously right now, unless you live near a creek or somewhere that always floods, in which case, just have a plan, be ready to go as high as you can to get out of the water, but don't go as high as you can possibly go, because if you're in the tornado warning, then that puts you up in the air more. Hope that makes sense. What's interesting about this severe thunderstorm warning is they're not shaving it back any. It's still in effect for the same area that it was. And I'll put this into motion, and you'll see it come out here. And you see the line move north, but it's training. We're filling back in that rain. And I do think the longer term tonight is going to lead us to more flash flooding. I can almost pick out low pressure here coming out of Hickory and Asheville. You can almost see our circulation right there. And so that will probably take another 1 to 3 hours to get through this area, maybe even longer. So out ahead of it, the winds are coming in more out of the east than out of the south, and that's being enhanced by the low pressure system. Once the low passes through, we still have a jet stream that's dipping way down here. We'll see individual waves of those low pressure systems enhance the circulation potential. But you can see earlier we had a report of a tornado there in the Greenbrier County, West Virginia area, Pocahontas County anyway. That was a public report. Haven't received any damage reports from that area just yet. And if we look at our winds here too, north of the front, they're kind of variable to calm, but south of the front here, they're more out of the south-southeast. And where they're meeting up is where we're seeing the twisting going on. So strong winds here. Let's go back to Appomattox and see what's going on with our circulation. Let me go up to our Viper here and check things out. And there's the tornado warning. A lot of lightning there showing up. Let's go to our individual threats here. And you see flash flooding there, also in the yellow and in the orange. And this is right over Appomattox. Making your way down through Halifax County, also showing up there. And you really do see that lightning cluster. Let's go back to our other source here. It just jumps out at you. So there's your severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45. Here's your tornado warning. Radar indicated right now, and again, that's Appomattox County until 9:45. We've got a flash flood warning that surrounds that. So between Pamplin and Lynchburg, the Evergreen area, right over Appomattox, unfortunately. The flash flood warning's in effect until 3:30 in the morning. It'll take a while for that water to come on down. It's going to get worse, in other words, before it gets better. If you're going to bed anytime soon, I would keep your phone nearby. Definitely let it wake you up. Make sure you have those alerts. I know that a lot of people kind of doze off this time of the evening and may be getting tired of hearing me talk, but the fact of the matter is we're going to have more storms, probably through midnight. And then thereafter, we'll be worried about more of a flash flooding potential, even into the early morning hours of your day tomorrow. Now, this is all ahead of the tropical storm. I hadn't even mentioned the hurricane yet, but it's on the way for Friday. Until 9:45, there are some places on your screen for the severe thunderstorm warning. I've got thunder outside the area right now. I'll go to camera 5 and show you that just now. I apologize for the sound of my air conditioner. That was only about 4 to 7 miles away. I've had 136 strikes just in the past, 138 just in the past 3 hours. Dew points at 70, temperatures at 70. So yeah, we've had about an inch of rain today, a little more in some places. Send you back to the computer here. And that's the lightning strike that I just saw out the window. That's how fast that stuff comes in. So that right there is what we actually, well, I was able to show you right there on the weather station. It's pretty neat. But you can see there these different colored arrows. When they get into the orange, this is the stronger wind that's now coming in ahead of that area of low pressure. Let's update the model here. Make sure we're looking at the most recent model run. So those winds continue to increase through midnight out of the southeast, and they actually get stronger. So this is a forecast now as far as the wind, and you can see that coming in out of the south and out of the east. That's going to keep that tornado potential going into the early morning hours for some places, unfortunately. Just to update you right here, this is Tazewell, Smith County, and Wythe County until 9:30. It's about another 5 minutes or so. That tornado warning's in effect, and that could be near the Bluefield area by 10:14. Bluefield, that would be your second one of the evening, at least. The amount of lightning with this Appomattox County possible tornado is pretty scary, to be honest with you. And it's one of those situations where the topography is more favorable for tornadoes, but it is sitting so far away from the radar that it's going to be hard to see these things. Just checking on some of these storm tracks here. Put the Weather Service storm tracks on because they can be accurate too. Viper doesn't always get these storm tracks right on the money. And we'll increase the width here of this one tornado warning just to give you a couple of locations. Vera and Oakville, these are updated storm tracks here, 9:58 and 9:59. So some good news in that that's a relatively sparse area. I'm not seeing a whole lot of locations here. But the bad news is got a pretty decent signature there showing up. For possibility of some kind of tornado or at least some damaging straight line winds. This is future radar, so let's use this because this is going to show us where the storms should be moving over the next hour to 2 hours. And this is not a computer model per se, it is a trend forecast, and it updates every 5 minutes for every one of the local radars around the country. It's kind of an exclusive product here, so we're going to put this in motion and let it load up the latest forecast here. It may take a second to load, but this will give us a good idea of what to expect. I actually used this at 8 o'clock tonight to try to see if it was going to storm or what time it would come in, and it had about 9:45 for this area. So it was about 15 minutes slow, but pretty much nailed the actual way the storms ended up looking. So this continues to move north. So you folks in Bedford County are going to get hit pretty hard here through about 9:50, 10 o'clock, and it will continue raining back toward the Roanoke Valley area. You folks in Botetourt County are going to see this storm as well. And it looks like Blacksburg and Christiansburg will be getting in on the action by 10:10 p.m. This is an exclusive future product here. Those storms move north into Lexington and Glasgow by 10:40 p.m. They fill back in across Allegheny County and Botetourt County in the Catawba area by 10:40. And then more storms develop back into Franklin County. Hopefully those won't be too bad, but honestly the wind shear is going to be high all night, so I'll have to watch these as they continue moving to the north. And back in the Appomattox again, another cell is possible. The one over you now is going to move close back into up 29 into southern Albemarle County, and in the Nelson County, another cell is possible as well into Appomattox County by 11:05 or so. And making your way back out across southwest Virginia, just continued heavy rains. They're already flooding in the mountains of North Carolina, and we haven't even got to the tropical system yet. So let me show you that real fast. Before I do, well, let's go back. I got a damage report coming in. So camera 7. There you see it. Thunderstorm winds blew down a tree which covered the eastbound lane of 24. That was at 9 o'clock. Some of these flooding reports are pretty serious. We got numerous roads closed throughout Johnson County, Tennessee, near Mountain City. They're flooded but still passable, at least as of this report. I imagine a lot of them are not passable. Got a moderate flood stage in Mitchell County, and got lots of flash flooding. Old Fort Mountain, Flat Top Mountain there, real high topography there. And I think that's where our low still is. Our low is still coming out of Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm going to widen this picture up so you can kind of see the overall flow. And we'll show you the hurricane down here too. There's Helene, as it's just entering the Gulf of Mexico. And crossed over the Yucatan with not much disturbance. You can see how wide the hurricane is. And if we put this water vapor up here, we'll let it load, and you'll be able to see the overall pattern. So we've got this big dip going on, and then everything's getting lifted back out of the north. Now some of the computer models are bending it back into Tennessee because this low could cut off. And if it cuts off, it could try to tug this a little bit farther to the west. But I don't think it's going to make much of a difference for us, because we are still going to see, you know, if you take the storm all the way out past Florida, it's going to affect most of the southeast, unfortunately. And there's going to be a pretty decent area of rain and storms out ahead of this as it merges with this trough that's in place. So I would not pay too much attention to the actual center, although that will be something for the Big Bend of Florida to watch. Going into Atlanta, it's going to be moving fast because these are faster winds aloft. It's not going to have time to weaken. So we are seeing a lot of, well, the first time I've actually seen Asheville, North Carolina under a tropical storm watch. So that will have its own tornado threat and flash flood threat with it, unfortunately. So I did want to show you that just so you can get an idea of what's going to be happening here. So yeah, we're not really going to see a lot of change to this pattern, really. The only thing is Helene will continue moving very quickly up to the north. Let's put on the satellite picture here so I can get you another kind of cleaner vantage point, if you will. The color's not so crazy. And we'll let this load as well. You can see already around Miami and the Florida, we are seeing strong winds push across the Florida Keys, and that's well away from the system. So this is a wide-reaching hurricane. 45-mile-per-hour winds already in Florida, well away from this. So these are some of the feeder bands that are in the circulation. So this is a strong system. It's almost like a superstorm kind of, because it's not a classic compact hurricane. It's more of a wide-reaching one. So these arms of wind and rain and wind shear are going to continue to bring us a tornado threat and a flash flooding threat, I'm afraid, as we go into Thursday and Thursday night into Friday. Interesting. A lot of people on Twitter tonight. They must have changed their algorithm. All right, let's go back to the here and now with the radar picture. So I did want to show you that, though. Oh, and where is it not raining? It's starting to fill back in across the western North Carolina mountains, North Wilkesboro, Elkin. They're seeing this rainfall continue here. Flash flood warnings in effect until 2:15, 2:45, you name it. 11:15, that will probably be extended. Lots of roads closed here. The tornado threat continues to be very high. I'm showing you that right now on these colors underneath it. There goes a new radar scan. So where I've got these glowing colors, that's a combination of thunderstorm fuel and spin. And we call that the Energy Helicity Index, EHI. And it's pretty high across south side and the south central Virginia. Tornado warning continues until 9:45 for Halifax County near Clover, and considerable damage with a flash flood warning and a tornado warning in effect. A tornado warning for Appomattox and Appomattox County and Evergreen until 9:45, and in effect until 3:30. The flash flood warning in effect. All this well in advance of our system, and you can see as I get out of the radar range here, these enhanced areas of spin continue with the lightning all the way down across Florida. So you can imagine being in the in the eye of a hurricane, or have it looking at you like that, and being a day and a half away, or a day away, and still being in that heavier rain. This is one of those systems that's going to have problems with it all up and down the coast. These are the computer models there in purple. Different plots there, and you can see kind of takes it across the Big Bend. This is probably for tomorrow night near Valdosta in Albany, Georgia. And the models start to diverge, but it looks like the center, it's going to move very close to where the low is now. So you need to take that into consideration. There's already a low coming out of the upstate, and you can see the kind of weather we've got going on. All this rain, right? So now we extract that and say, okay, well, what if the hurricane gets up into here? You're going to have more of the same of this. I mean, it's just common sense. So that's why I say don't pay too much attention to these, how it's bending it back around that low in Arkansas. You're going to have far-reaching effects. And even some of the models don't even buy that. Some of the models do take it right across our area. And we saw earlier, about a month and a half ago, we still had a tropical storm, a legit tropical storm, moving through with the other system. This Appomattox County cell is almost out of radar range. The rotation isn't quite as strong. That's good news. I don't see it's getting into the melting layer, so I'm not sure if I have any debris or not. I don't think I do. And this Halifax County cell, within the cell, you don't have any rotation now, but right on the edge, That could be a radar thing. Could be some side lobe contamination there coming in. I hope so. That's some pretty strong wind showing up there. Let's see if I see anything on the Raleigh radar from that area. It's up here. Yeah, there could be another circulation developing here, and I think this circulation just jumped into Charlotte County, Virginia. So we'll see if we get another warning out for this. It just weakened a little bit there. Our latest update there, it came in. More heavy rain down across Floyd County. This is falling in the tributaries of the Blackwater and Pig River. These are rivers that were pretty shallow not too long ago, but are filling up fast today. Got a tree down, intersection of Patrick Avenue and High Ridge Street. That was earlier today, this afternoon, here in Henry County. You folks now in Fincastle and Glasgow, these storms are no longer technically severe, but you know, if you got a cluster that has a spin in it, then you've got a tornado warning. So just to put that little preface on it, there's no special weather statement or anything right now with this cluster. The front edge has fizzled somewhat as it's moved back into more stable air to the north, but it's filling back in to the south, and that's going to have a flash flood threat with it. You're going to probably see some flood advisories out tonight, and any one of these little cells near the front that's still across south side could start spinning. The tornado warning for Southwest Virginia has been allowed to expire at 9:30. That's some good news, but we've got numerous flash flood warnings in effect there. So I'm going to sign off for right now. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to give my throat a rest, and we'll watch these storms as they continue moving north. I'll put out some more videos and more posts and give you the very latest on Patreon as well. I'm working on a Patreon post that'll show you the latest storm totals from each model, each county by county, where the significant tornado parameter remains the highest. But you definitely want to stay weather aware for the next 36 hours at least, maybe even 48 hours, as we haven't even started really this event. We're already seeing tornadoes well in advance.